Welcome back to another episode of How Did They Grow? I created this podcast because I wanted you to learn how other coaches, freelancers, service providers, and course sellers are growing their business, landing 10 to 20 new clients every single month, paying them 50, 100, 200K months. See, if they've done it, you can too. And that's just the reality. And I want you to listen to these podcasts to understand what strategies are they using, what techniques are they exploring, because it's in these gems that you can apply it to your business and actually scale things up. When you're ready and you feel like you actually want to learn practical, proven methodologies, or even you want to hire a team that can build you a profitable personal brand, book in a chat with our team because we can guarantee you go viral and guarantee you get clients for your business.
Welcome to the show, guys. This is the How Did They Grow podcast, and today we have on Bria Poera. Bria, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I am 22 years old and I run a faith-based anxiety coaching business. I coach Christian women to help them overcome anxiety and grow deeper relationships with God so that they can, make more money in their businesses, really live out their purpose and calling, and just be a present wife and a present mom. I am married and I am stationed in Texas, and I'm excited to be here. So thanks for having me.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about that journey. Why did you pick that to obviously it has to come from a deep place, but maybe just break it down for us,
Yes, for sure. So I started this journey due to my own chronic battle with anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder, PTSD, and ADHD. And I was in an abusive relationship at 16. And so everything kind of escalated and spiraled from there, if not like compounding on each other and working together. And so I was in therapy for a while because I realized that I needed help. But then I realized that therapy kind of has its cap where you talk a lot to your therapist, but there's not a lot of like growth and progress beyond a certain point of processing and talking out loud. And so, from there, God kind of called me to go into business, and I started with just he kind of gave me this like system and these tools that I should be using to look at life and himself in a different way. And so I started with my e-commerce brand, selling my journals and my biblical affirmations that helped me to heal and really shift my mindset. And then I went into coaching full time.
Amazing. You said that you kind of had a calling from God. Tell me how hard was it to actually take that? Because you feel this and you feel like God is speaking to you. How was it hard? How hard was it to take that into action and actually not just believe that you have this calling, but to actually back yourself in reality and say, okay, I have this calling. How am I going to see it through?
Yeah, it's definitely a leap of faith. Like we never usually get A through Z about how everything's going to work out when God calls us to do something. But we do have the stories in the Bible that are able to give us some foundation of faith to go off of. So when he called Abraham out of his father's land, and, Daniel and David, he gave them all missions and assignments, and none of them knew how it was going to work out. So as I was studying the word and going deeper with him, I actually was able to kind of borrow the faith of our forefathers lean on, their journeys and the kind of unknown that they had to go through to help navigate what I was going through. And I had to remind myself every day that what I currently was doing was not working. And so why not just take a chance to see what I feel like God is wanting me to do it and see if it works out or not. And then go from there. Cause life with anxiety was just so real ghetto. I'm not gonna lie.
That's an amazing story. How long would you say you still battle with anxiety? If not,
No.
How long ago did it end?
I wouldn't say I battle with anxiety, but I do think it's an unrealistic expectation to tell people that they'll never deal with anxiety again. Something that I teach my clients is what we teach you is the frameworks and the systems that you need to be proactive about anxiety and to manage it in the moment. But as life goes on, if you become pregnant and you have a baby, or if you're dealing with sudden grief and loss of somebody or something, these feelings are going to come up again because that's natural. But we know how to manage it and battle it so that it doesn't completely take over your life again. So I would say I dealt with a pretty long battle with anxiety. I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel when I first pretty much accepted my calling and started to rewire my brain. This was about the tail end of 2021. And then I saw many breakthroughs and many breakthroughs and many breakthroughs. And I continue to see breakthroughs in different areas of my life even today. But I think the time I first recognized that, like, oh, I'm not like super depressed anymore, was 2022.
Okay.
And I was 20 then. And so I've been pretty, pretty anxiety free since then, which is amazing. Praise God.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So I'm assuming what is the timeline in terms of when did you get that calling?
Okay, could you repeat the question? I think you cut out a little bit there.
Oh, yeah, I was like, give us like kind of the timeline. Were you still battling with anxiety when you got that calling, or was it when you were free? Is that when you got that calling and started that business?
Nope, I was in the thick of my anxiety, probably at my lowest point, when I began to get the calling from God. And it wasn't like he came down in the middle of my bedroom with like an angel and trumpets. I think it was kind of like, I would say, like cheese laid out for a mouse. I had to like first be like, okay, you know what? Like, God has to be the answer. Okay, hold on. Let me do this. Let me do that. And so I think my calling sort of came into fruition. And then there was a distinct moment where it was like, okay, now build a business. But it came from like a accumulation of yeses, of small yeses to him in his direction. But I was in the thick of anxiety. Like, I was like, I kind of felt like an imposter when I was starting to build my e-commerce brand, because I was like, how am I going to teach people to overcome anxiety if I still deal with anxiety? And so that was a bit of a challenge starting, and accepting the calling that God had called me into, for sure.
Amazing, amazing. Now I think this is kind of a nice segue to transition into social media. When you got that calling, was your immediate go-to, was it social media? And how did it help you grow in terms of that?
It actually was social media. It was about pandemic time, right? So everyone is on TikTok, posting on TikTok, wanting to become, a famous TikTok influencer and star. And I don't think that was necessarily my intention. I just don't think I knew what else to do. So I began posting 3 times a day on TikTok. I think I grew my TikTok account to about 4,000 followers, which was really cool. And then I had a separate business account as well. But without having social media, there's absolutely no way that I would have been able to do anything in my business that I needed to, because I did not have a marketing budget. We don't have money for, crazy ads or, or like billboard marketing, newspapers, any of those local things, or even to, pay to get in rooms. So social media is a building block and foundation of my business, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I do agree with what you said in terms of you don't have that money to throw at ads. Ads is like, you already have to, in terms of, in a way, you already have to build out that business in terms of build out that machine. Then you can throw money and start to a cash machine. But if you're starting out, I think the best way is organic content, because it's free. You just create as much as you can, and the traffic comes for free. So you said you took sort of a sabbatical, like a 3-month sabbatical. Tell us a little bit about that, and what was the hardest things that made you just kind of go on that?
Yeah. If I'm being honest, running my business it's a lot of work. It requires a very strong amount of empathy, emotional availability, and also just like discipline and consistency, just to grow the business and all those sorts of things. And the business doesn't grow if you as an individual doesn't grow. So what happened actually, as I was running ads and everything like that, I kind of became a little bit burned out. And so I just stopped. I was like, no, we're not going to do this. I was avoiding, doing anything in the business. I was inconsistently posting. Excuse me. My ads, my credit card, business credit cards maxed out because I wasn't paying attention to them. So the ads were running and running and running. I wasn't doing anything with them. So my business credit cards maxed out and my ads shut off. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What am I going to do? I just think that's like part of the road as a business owner. Is like, we're always putting out fires one way or another. But I was focused really on just doing what I needed to do for me proactively so that I can show up as how I needed to, as best as I can for my clients to still make sure that they get amazing results. So that was a little bit of the sabbatical for these past couple months. But we are back to selling, back to turning the machine on, and we are continuing to serve the women that need the help for their anxiety and their mental health. Yeah.
Definitely. I think that's an insane mission. Is mission the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of break it down for us and the audience who are also trying to grow on social media? What was your strategy when you started out? What was your strategy in terms of what were you trying to implement? How hard was it? Did you do it on your own? How did that look like?
Yeah, I think there were two distinct separate stages of growing my audience. Maybe even three. I would say before I was having a business, one of my friends, they're some pretty famous YouTubers. They have maybe about 1 million subscribers. I wasn't trying to grow my brand really too much. I was like a teenager. I was really young, like nothing was going on. But I was on their YouTube channel a couple of times, and I grew my Instagram and my YouTube channel. And I was like, okay, hold on. I wasn't even trying to do that. I grew a couple hundred subscribers, a couple of thousand Instagram followers. And so I was like, okay, cool. Feeling like, like I have a little bit of sauce. I'm like, okay, yeah. I have a couple thousand followers. And then when I started to actually focus on my business, I started posting on TikTok 3 times a day. It wasn't any kind of structure. It was like, go on TikTok, see what's trending, recreate those for your niche, post. And I grew to about 4,000 followers. It was really hard, and I don't think that that's sustainable if you don't have a plan. And also, I wasn't making any sales, which I think that's important to talk about, because you can post, you can make a bunch of content, but if you're not making content to convert, you're not monetizing your audience, and you're just kind of like a glorified influencer. So I grew my page to about 4,000 probably followers on TikTok. And then I kind of stopped focusing on that a little bit. And I don't know what happened in between, but I hired a business coach. Go ahead.
You mean TikTok or social media in general?
TikTok. Because I was, like I said, it's a lot to keep up with when you don't have a strategy and you're not seeing conversion in sales. So it does burn you out a little bit. So fast forward a little bit, I hired a business coach, and what they taught me to do, number one, was get me an offer for my coaching, build an offer, refine it, get my messaging and marketing dialed in, and then honestly run ads to my profile so that people can get more visibility on me. And so that kind of added a bunch of gasoline to the fire. But I see a lot of times too, like people will run ads to their profiles or social media profiles, and they are like, well, I'm not getting any followers. And it's like, well, you don't have anything interesting to talk about. Like, you're not actually helping people, feel seen and heard or getting them a transformation. So people aren't just like running ads or posting isn't going to make people automatically follow you if you're really not providing value to the marketplace. And value is not just information, and it's not just it's not just information. It's not just entertainment. It's a good mix of both. So like they want to know who you are. You got to show your face. You got to be a person. You got to talk about your struggles and be real. And you also have to give them something valuable that they want according to, what transformation you can help them make. And then, ads really amplified that. So I started running a follower ad funnel to pretty much get exposure to my page and my content. And that's what grew me to 18,000 on Instagram.
I think that's amazing, and it's an amazing strategy as well. Doing it organically, and kind of using follower ads to bump it up. What would you say was like the let me put it like this? What would you say was like the number one limiting factor in terms of like growth? What apart from that you said throwing money at ads wasn't the real thing, but in terms of like your strategy, your content strategy, what was the number one limiting factor, and also what was the number one thing that you saw that kept you going?
Limiting factor in terms of conversion or growing my business or growing my
creating content and growing your account. Yeah.
Okay. I would definitely say my ability to be creative. So like not having enough ideas was like, it wasn't necessarily a limit, but it was a limiting belief that prevented me from creating and posting. And then I would say like on the other side of that coin, the number one thing that helped me going was just going, like continuing to go and not give up, but also the feedback that you get from clients and the people who follow you when they're like, wow, this really helped me. Wow, this was eye-opening. Wow, you really helped reverse, unforgiveness that I've been holding for 7 years. When I see comments like that, I'm like, okay, like, right. This is reminding me why I do what I do. And it really helps you just keep going, because really selling and being a coach and selling what you have and helping people make transformations is serving and is what people need. So it's really not up to us or about us to kind of have motivation to keep going. We have to keep chugging along.
Definitely, I do see where you come from that, in terms of like, once you start, quote unquote, influencing people and motivating people, you kind of have to just keep it going. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You do. You
Yeah.
I hope you're enjoying this podcast. I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're learning so much practical wisdom, because that's what I really wanted from this podcast. Now, I just want to quickly say, if you're looking for a team that can actually help you explode and go viral with your personal brand with proven methodologies, I say this because I've been doing this for the past 5 years. We've got a team of 30 people who are ready to go ahead and explode your brand so you can get clients begging to work with you. Have a chat with one of our advisors. You can book in a chat using one of the links around this video, because that chat might just change your life.
You said you got with the business coach. That's amazing. So you refined your offer. What does that offer look like right now?
Yes. So my offer right now is a high ticket coaching offer. I work with women for 12 weeks. I don't necessarily promote it, but I'm more committed to the transformation over the time period. So if they happen to take a little bit longer and I know that they've been showing up and putting in the work, I'm not like, well, 12 weeks, you're out of here. I'm a little bit more committed to the transformation that they make. So standardly about 12 weeks that I work with them. And then we kind of go from there to see what we can do to help them really get that entire transformation part A, where they need to go. And I started off with absolutely no offer. Like, I didn't know who I wanted to help, how much I wanted to charge, like what that looked like, what my niche was, how to talk to them. But my business coach helped me refine all of that. And I've made a bunch of iterations to my offer over the year, just kind of testing to see what worked or what didn't work, and what was clear and was not clear, what was resonating and converting and it wasn't. And I think that's part of the whole entrepreneur journey, is like, okay, something works. Okay, this may be a bottleneck. Maybe we need to change it. You try it, you test it, you get data, and then you continue to make iterations.
Definitely, I definitely do agree with you. But you would say now you've kind of figured it out in terms of that offer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes sense. So let me ask you this, and for the sake of the audience who are looking into getting into social media, where would you say you get most of your leads from? Would you say you get a lot of referrals? Would you say marketing ads do a lot, or would you say that the organic content takes majority of that?
If I'm being honest, it's a combination at different times. So ads obviously are like kind of input output. So like the more money you put into better ads, obviously the more leads you will get. That was pretty much the foundation and majority of my lead gen in 2024. I do get referrals from other coaches, so other coaches who know what I do, as well as my clients. So they obviously will refer me, and then I'll figure out if the person they do refer to me is a good fit or not, because that does affect the quality of your coaching program in your community as well. And then obviously organic content as well. Some people come in and just because of them not really knowing you and not coming from an ad, it'll take them a little bit longer to convert, if they ever convert, to something, a low ticket or a high ticket offer, or even just like a change in belief, because they don't know who you are. So they need to consume more of your content and more, just get to know and trust you more and like you more. So it depends. It's like, it's an ebb and flow. And I think it's all cumulative and works together. I don't think it's like one, like this is it. It's like it all works together in compounds. The organic with the ads, with the referrals, and all the work that you're doing all kind of grows into this beautiful pie.
Yeah, amazing. I wanted to say, like, I think I just lost my train of thought. Let me just take a couple seconds. You said something that I wanted to ask about. Okay, I remember now. You said something about, I think the difference between organic content and marketing is the fact that if you pay for ads, someone gets inside the funnel, and I say this all the time, someone gets inside the funnel. When they reach the end of the funnel, whether it's a sales call or whatever, if they don't buy, they're out of the funnel. You know what I mean? But with organic content and with followers, no matter what happens, they're always inside the funnel, and they can be in that funnel for years. and they can just be, your content just keeps nurturing them and nurturing them until a point where if they still have that problem, you're the one who's top of their mind. You know what I mean?
Definitely. That is definitely accurate. And that's why I think posting is so important. I didn't realize that until fairly recently. And I would notice when I had like bigger months, it's because I was posting more consistently. And that's because people, like, you're top of mind. They're like, oh, my anxiety has been kind of bad. Oh, this is a problem for me. I didn't know. And a lot of people aren't solution aware in terms of like anxiety coaching. And some people might not be solution aware for whatever, you know, business that other people are having. And, you know, they'll be like, oh, coach, I haven't thought about it, or they don't understand why it would benefit them, like why it would benefit them to actually hire you. So that's kind of our job. And they, like, you're right, they can be in the funnel in different stages. They can also like go back up to the top of the funnel if they haven't closed on a sales call or something like that. I've had that happen multiple times where someone's like, I don't know, I'm not a good fit, whatever the case is, it's too much money, whatever the case is. And then they'll be like, hey, it's a year later and I'm still here. Like, I need your help. And I believe that, and it's the easiest closes in sales calls because they're already bought in and they know that.
Yeah, they already, not to cut you off, keep going, keep cooking.
No, that was it. Yes.
Yeah, like the closes from organic content are so easy. You know, if you track it, it could go up to 70% because they already know you, they already trust you. Their only reason they're here is because they've been following you for a while. And another factor that a lot of people don't talk about is this quote unquote celebrity factor. They see you as someone, like, they know you already. So like the trust is higher than it can ever be in terms of converting. So that too. So it's a long-term game, definitely, but it pays off in terms of the numbers and the stats.
It definitely does. And you're right. Like it's the authority that you have, because we don't see ourselves that way, but they see us as celebrities and authorities and public figures, say at least, especially when you have grown your following. They're like, I get messages all the time in DMs when I reach out to new followers and stuff like that. And they're like, I didn't expect you to reply. I'm like, it's just me. Like, what do you mean? Like, so it's really interesting to see that effect as well. But there's always have an opportunity to get better at sales, get better at nurturing, get better at conversations, and get better at caring more about the client than money, honestly, so that you can have better conversations with your prospects.
Yeah, definitely. You said we spoke earlier about, you said you had a bit of a, I don't want to call it a lead problem, but in terms of like, is it a lead problem or as a qualifying problem? Which one?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily a lead problem in terms of like flow. In terms of quality and qualifying, I would say yes. I think number one, I can definitely do a better job in my content of selling beliefs to them of like, you can do it. Like you have to bite the bullet and figure out how to invest in yourself for if this is your bottleneck and what you need. So to help them buy that belief, because they still think that they can't do it. They still think that, like, you know, coaches are luxuries and not necessities. But it's like, if this is your biggest bottleneck, then you are obviously never going to achieve your dreams because you're not solving the problem at hand. So I think it's a combination of being able to sell them the new beliefs that they need to know in order to buy from me. Believe that what I do is what they need, but also as well, Alex Hormozi talks about, right? Like, you got to go to where people with an audience that has money. So if you're going to an audience that chronically doesn't have money, then you're going to have a harder time making sales and scaling for sure.
Definitely. I do understand that. Let's pivot back into you and your goals for 2025. Let's say, obviously, you have different categories of goals. You have social media, you have business. Let's start off with social media. In terms of social media and your strategy, you have a strategy in place, I assume. So what is your goal? Where do you see that strategy taking you? Is there a certain number you want to get to? Is there a certain amount of, what is that strategy, and what do you want to do more of, basically?
Yes. So I have spent a lot of my time chasing vanity metrics, like followers, like comments, like likes, like shares. And I don't think that those things are unimportant. But what I do think, in terms of as a business owner, what matters more is conversion and converting the people in front of me over having 100,000 followers or 1 million followers and I don't make any money. I have coaches and I know people who have significantly less followers than me, 2,000 to 8,000, 9,000 followers, and they make millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars every single month, every single year. And I'm like, my audience is quadruple, 4, 5, 6 times yours, and I don't understand right where the disconnect is. And so I've been learning that you can have a giant audience, a lot of influencers do, but converting them is a whole different beast. So my goal for 2025 in terms of social media is, obviously it will continue to grow the better quality content that I put out, and it will continue. I mean, I see it even now. I get followers and I'm not running any follower ads and stuff like that, and content and engagement, which is awesome. But converting the people that I have in front of me to serve them at the highest level possible.
Yeah, and I think that ties back to what you said about like, it's called the term for it on social media is called broke influencer syndrome, where you have someone with 100K followers, but they don't even have 10K MRR. You know, so the point is, yeah, exactly. I'm sure you've seen a lot of that. You know, you being in the industry and all that.
Yes, it is such a thing, and I think people will, like I said, the vanity metrics, they'll get caught up in the vanity metrics. They're like, oh, am I getting likes or am I getting followers? It's like, you can have 200 followers, and like, until you've literally like milked all of them in terms of conversations or disqualifying them, like there's more money in there.
Exactly. And you know, the key difference is, you know, the key difference in my mind is like this strategy. What are you looking for? Followers are good. They're a good indicator that you're doing something right. But if you want to, as you said, milk or, you know, milk that following, you have to have a strategy in place in terms of your funnel, in terms of even the content, the type of content that you put out, your call to action, you know, your script and the way you tailor that content, if you know what I mean.
Yes, for sure. The strategy is important. Connecting with them is important. Posting to be top of mind and relevant is important. Call to actions are important. Story selling is important. Keeping up with like trends, not necessarily like, oh, this is what's trending, but like the new features of the platform. How can they help you, you know, reach your audience more and reach more people? All matter.
Definitely. So we spoke about a couple of your goals. What would you say are going to be, you know, from your past experiences, what would you say are going to be the biggest bottlenecks in terms of achieving those goals?
I think it's like me as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I am one of my biggest assets and bottlenecks. If I get sick, right, it's like, do I have systems in place that are going to be able to help me to continue to make money and get my business going? Or does everything shut down when I shut down? So systems in place for sure. Also getting much better at sales and selling and converting audience, because it's like, I definitely think having leads is one thing and needing leads is one thing, but then like we have been talking about, converting them as a whole other thing. So my focus is on like me being like not having these limiting thoughts of like, oh, you know, oh, they've already heard that message or they don't want to talk to me or whatever the case is, which are all like thoughts that entrepreneurs have. But it's that mindset shift of like, okay, if I'm not selling to them, like I'm doing them and everyone in here who followed me for a reason a disservice. So how can I learn how to have better conversations so I can serve them better, even if it's just a recommendation, even if it is a low ticket item, a high ticket item, or goodwill between me and them.
Definitely. And again, the question just popped out of my head.
Okay.
Let me see. You said something I wanted to ask about. Let me go through a different angle. In terms of social media, okay, I remember what I was gonna ask. You said if you crash out, your system crashes out, your business crashes out. So that got me curious. Are you a one-woman team or what?
Yeah, I am now. So there's a few layers to this. I originally thought in order to scale and grow, I need so many different people. I need VAs, I need appointment setters, I need closers, I need coaches. I've had all of them, and I realized most of me trying to quote unquote scale was me trying to remove myself from the business too quickly, because I didn't want to do the hard thing of getting better at sales, of having conversations, of getting my stretchiness, like a rubber band, my elasticity to grow, because it's uncomfortable and it's hard. And so I was like, oh, well, you know, I need to be out the business. I need to be working, you know, on the business, not in the business. But the only way that I can work on the business successfully is really having every single thing in the business dialed in or delegated. And I realized that a lot of it was an identity issue of like, oh, successful entrepreneurs have to have a big team. They have to have, you know, appointment setters and VAs and closers and everything like that. But what I didn't realize is that it was just a limiting belief. I needed all these people to grow. I just had to get better at conversations. I had to get better at content. I had to get better at sales. And so I've had appointment setters. I've had so many appointment setters. I had closers. I've had assistant coaches, and I'm back down to a one-woman team because I realized like I can grow my business to literally any stage that I want by myself or with just a few close people by simplifying things. So I don't overspend on things I don't need. Yeah, I also don't have to manage people I don't need to manage for no reason. And I can make better content and have better conversations because I'm where I need to be, knowing the fears and desires of my prospects and my audience, knowing the objections that they give me so that I can turn around and actually make relevant, resonating content for them. And I've seen the conversion be much, much better when I'm, at least for me in this stage, when I'm in the business. And I think that I probably can scale to, I don't know, I want to be bold, but maybe like $500,000 or $1 million with me, just me, if I have the proper systems.
That's yearly, right? Or monthly?
So $1 million a year. And I don't think that it's impossible. I just think it's depending on what business you want to build. And if you want to have, you know, coaches and stuff.
Depends on the model.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing is bad either way. But the business that I want to build is something that is a little bit more evergreen, a little bit more automated so that I can be a present mom. But I also know that all of my clients and everyone that comes in is getting the most excellent level of service as possible. So I think it just depends. Yeah, $1 million a year.
I can definitely see Bria getting there.
Amen.
Yeah. So in terms of 2025, what's that big vision for you? You know, we spoke about your social media, but what about you? Where do you want to see yourself? Do you want to see yourself, I don't know, doing more speaking gigs? Yeah, I see you. You want to be yourself doing more? Do you want to see yourself doing more speaking gigs? You want to do more, I don't know, communities, cohorts, you know, in-person stuff? How does that translate?
So I got a little bit of love-hate relationship with in-person events because I have my degree in event management, right? Hospitality. So I know how much it takes to put on a really good event. And I love events, but I also don't super love planning them because it's stressful and there's always something going on, always a fire to put out. But in terms of, I would love to do it. And I have been talking to my clients about, you know, having an in-person event. So I do think maybe not 2025, but maybe 2026, I could get something going because I really want to make sure that we're focusing on one thing and doing it really well this year. I want to definitely scale to $1 million this year, but I want to be speaking more. I want to be having more direct influence on people, one to many, however, whatever needs to happen, one to many, one to a few, right? One to one, whatever needs to happen. Having just more conversations and really like just hearing the one and serving the one and focusing on making more impact. I want to have my first child, which I'm very excited about, and maybe even invest in some real estate. So that's what I want to have going on with me this year.
Amazing. That's a lot. Amazing. And in terms of those things you said, like speaking and all that, what do you think like is the number one thing that's going to get you there?
Not wasting time with the spirit of DIY and just investing what I need to invest in to get me there. I've already invested in a few like, you know, challenges and stuff for speaking, but honestly, this just getting my name out there, learning how to like pitch, you know, myself as a speaker, pitching myself, you know, on different podcasts, different things like that, different stages, even hosting my own events and stuff to continue to refine my speaking and speaking me as a speaker, and my messages, and continue just getting better and better and better. Even though I speak every week and all the time, you can always get better and stuff. So I think the number one thing that's going to be important is just figuring out the right things to do and then doing them at the highest level and highest volume physically possible while still delivering my other areas of responsibility in life as a wife and as a business owner. But yeah, reaching out, just going out there and being bold.
Amazing. Let me end on this and ask you, what is one thing you wish I asked you on this podcast?
One thing you wish you asked me. I think it's always good to be able to go back and tell your past self like what you wish you knew. I think the biggest thing, if I answer that question, is what would you tell your past self is that debt does not have to be scary. I have invested in a lot of things and I've accumulated a lot of debt. And I think I probably would have had a faster and easier time converting and scaling if I wasn't worried about debt and if I worried more about, the inputs and impact that I can make at my highest level of input. So I think debt doesn't have to be scary and you can use it to leverage, scaling your business as long as you're doing what you need to do to develop personally and refine your business. It's fine.
Amazing. This has been an amazing one, Bria. Where can the people go to, find out and learn more about your work?
Yes, honestly, Instagram is the best. So it's BreaPoeira. So at Bria Poeira on Instagram. And then if they want to reach out to me and have a conversation, they can just DM me on there.
Amazing. And it's been amazing having you on, Bria. And hopefully we can have you on some other time.
Thank you. I do look forward to it for sure.
I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. I want you to go away and execute everything there is that you've learned. Now, one thing I will say is if you're in a position where you're ready to actually take things to another level, you want structured, clear guidance, you want a team that can actually help accelerate you, book in a chat with our advisors. Why? We can blow up your personal brand to attract clients begging to work with you. All you got to do is book in a chat with our advisors and we can help make it happen. Sound fair enough?